What's up? Welcome back, or nice to meet you. I am Cody. I'm a full-time artist. Anyways, Black Friday happened and couldn't pass up buying a lot of resin. If you don't know, my channel and my art is largely resin based, and in this video we're making another resin painting, but a little differently. I was at Home Depot and, well, I saw the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. A caulk gun. See, I don't even know what this is. At the point, I didn't even know what caulk was or what it was used for. But it was just too beautiful. It was $15 and I immediately purchased it. And it was well worth the money, despite the fact that I still haven't used it. Let me explain. So when I'm making my resin canvas paintings, they are see-through canvases. So I use resin and then I paint on the resin. Parts are see-through, parts aren't. Anyways, I needed to go to Home Depot because the wood frames that I use from these bulk canvases that I buy are this nice light brown color, and it's cool. I don't mind it, but it kind of gives off like fresh out the wood shop, like not a lot of effort. Of course it's not, because I buy the bulk sets to save money. Anyway, so I needed wood stains to try and increase the appeal and the visual aesthetic of these wood frames that you can obviously see when you're looking at the final piece. So I got two colors. There's this dark brown color, which is cool. It's a solid stain, not much to say about it. And then there's this semi-transparent bluish grayish color, which I think is beautiful. I like the semi-transparency because you can still see a lot of the wood texture and stuff like that. Anyways, that's the reason I was at Home Depot buying wood stains. And then I was thinking, what kind of store is Home Depot? It's like a supply store or something like that. But it might as well be an art store because you can make art out of anything. And there's just a million different things worth buying that you could potentially use in your art. And when I saw this caulk gun, I was like, I can definitely use that once I figure out what it is and how to use it. So here's my thinking. Recently, what I've been painting on my resin paintings are masks, and I just find them fascinating. I love them. I'm very into them as we speak. So how do I make the mask more appealing using this caulk gun? Well, with the resin painting, you're building layers and layers and layers until you have, a finished piece. So what if I use the caulk to three-dimensionally lift the painted layers, the mask, and anything else I paint off of the background layers that are see-through. And then I'll paint over that, and then I'll pour resin over everything. The see-through layers will be further back, the painted layers will be closer. It's gonna be glorious. I don't know whether it worked. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We won't know until we find out. We won't know until we try, so let's find out. Alright, so before we get to using the highly anticipated caulk gun, step number one is to take one of the borders, I'm going to use the bluish gray one for this video, and attach a piece of plastic on top of it, so when I pour the resin won't just fall through, it will actually stay attached to the border that we're using for this project. Alright y'all, so it's been a day and the resin is completely cured, dried, and ready to be sketched and then painted. But I cannot do that until I learn how to use this caulk gun. While some other projects I just jump right in, that's at least when I have a little bit of experience. I've never even seen one of these, let alone used it. I still haven't even taken the tag off, but I'm just gonna try on a practice canvas right here, see what level of control I can get out of it, and then assuming it all goes well, then I'll move on to the real project. Man, this thing looks fun and exciting to use. I really hope it works in the way that I'm imagining. Let's try it. so I'm sat here with two absolutely gorgeous canvases. The reason I do two at once is because it's just easier to get two separate projects canvases done at the same time, because I have to set up the whole resin station, then I have to wait for them to cure for 24 hours, stuff like that. Easier to do two at once. But that leaves me with a beautiful choice of two very different colored borders now that I've started using stains and can actually myself choose what color themed wood border I want around depending on what exactly I'm painting, which is a nice luxury. If you're wondering what's in the bag, this bag is evidence of my failure with the beautiful caulk gun that I wanted to use. Yeah, man, it just wasn't working. The biggest problem is it wasn't coming out smoothly, and so I was working it with this tool and getting it smoother and smoother, and eventually I was like, oh, I actually got it smooth, and I was really happy with it. And then I looked at it from the side and I realized I had just smoothed it out almost completely, which eliminated the three-dimensional aspect, which is the whole reason I wanted to use it in the first place. So it just didn't work. But in this video, I've kind of set myself a theme of trying something new, and so that's what this bag is. I'm going to use something I haven't used in a long time, and that is an airbrush. Let's go, y'all. I view this as a huge win. Of course, this is airbrushing in its absolute most simplest form, but it unlocks some things that I actually can't do with just a traditional brush, at least do as well, and that is like glow effects and mimicking graffiti and spray paint in some of my paintings and stuff like that. And right when I switched the airbrush, I was thinking the way I want to use this is in the background of my mask paintings. I'm not going to use it for details or anything, and obviously I still need to practice a little more before I jump into the real thing. That being said, this can definitely be applied to the background, and I'm very happy. So let's go back to the actual painting, and then at that stage, you'll see this come back into action. Let's get it. But yeah, and I forgot to mention, the background is grayscale, so the mask pops more. Makes sense, right? Alright, so it's time to use the airbrush on the actual canvas. I'm a little bit nervous because I'm not just trying to use the airbrush, but I'm trying to use it to mimic a spray can. So I'm trying to mimic that feeling, but at the same time I don't want it to be so erratic to the point where it looks messy and kind of just bad. Man, that was both terrifying and exhilarating. I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad I pushed myself to use something new. I still have the scariest part though, and that's actually the paint splatters that I have to flick at the canvas. I just have a bit of anxiety about doing that on a see-through painting, so I've been pushing it off, but no time like the present to do it. Obviously, the background isn't done. It looks a hot mess right now, but it's going to be really cool after I refine it with like traditional paint strokes and stuff like that. Paint splatters, let's get it. Man, I could not be happier with how this turned out. I think I found the perfect balance between not busy enough and too busy. I'm really happy with the grayscale because once I add the mask, it will be a big pop of color and your eyes will go straight to the mask and not to the grayscale background, even though there's a ton going on in the background. I'm really happy with the decision to keep the neck and shoulders completely see-through without any of the background going over it, except for this thing that says built backwards, and that's foreground, so that's the only reason it overlaps in the front. I think it looks great. I'm really happy with all the decisions I made, and now I'm ready to get after the mask. Let's get it. Alright y'all, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is the end of part 1. Yes, I had to break it into 2 parts because the video was just getting way too long. But this painting ended up being glorious. I'll show you some hints to next week's video, part 2. And I'll see y'all then. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, please. That'd be cool. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace and love.